The Type 1 and Type 2 VW bus were incredibly popular during the 1950s and 60s, and they sold bucket loads. And today they're highly sought after vehicles. But what's it like owning one? Or two? You're watching Down at the Barns, following the stories of people and their love of classic cars. Everything from restoration to electric conversion. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. Well, welcome to Down at the Barns, Kevin. This is a nice vehicle. Tell us why you've got involved with Volkswagen buses.
Oh, I've got to blame a friend of mine called Darren for that.
Okay.
He was constantly on at me. He's been into them for years, and one day I finally relented and went and bought one.
Okay.
I've been into them ever since. It's been pretty good actually.
So you've got a young family, and your wife wanted one of these, so you went out and bought this particular one. And what have you done to it?
Well, it wasn't like this when we got it. It was a bank of cabinetry down there.
Yeah.
I think a proper dormer conversion. It wasn't very practical for us being like that with such a, because you only had a 3/4 width lay down bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually stripped all that out. As you can see, I bought brand new interior from a company called Vanworks, which is on the label there, and reconfigured it so it's a bit more compatible for two kids, myself and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I've changed as well. I've gone from what was the veneer surface to an actual oak surface.
It's a nice finish, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's really
lovely.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
The details of the doors,
nice,
and the handles, it's very nice. Yeah, but as you can see, being reconfigured in such a way, we've now got the full width rock and roll bed.
Right. Okay.
And it also gives you a bit more space in the actual cargo area.
Yeah.
When I first bought it in 2013, after a couple of years and MOTs, the guy who MOT'd it turned around and said he wouldn't recommend putting anyone in it.
Yeah.
Which I was a bit surprised that you'd actually MOT'd it. So rather than get rid of it and scrap it, which is pretty much what it was worth doing anyway, I thought I'd save it. So I've actually had all of the work done, which is chassis rails, both front and rear,
Mm-hmm.
a brand new front panel up to and including quarter way out the windscreen, two new rear panels on either quarter, and strengthening works to the ladder frame and the cargo area.
That's good. A lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah.
So when do you think this will be ready? What's your time frame?
Well, as you can see, I'm only waiting for really an interior, so I'm trying to source an upholsterer now, so if you know anyone, that'd be good.
Well, anyone who knows, watching this, who knows, let us know, put it in the link below, that'd be fantastic. But this is not the only one, you have a second one, don't you?
I do.
And what's the story behind that?
I went out to buy an Ariba Puck, in 1971 I believe it is, Ariba Puck.
Right.
We had a car at the time with a tow bar,
Yep.
and I thought, well, we've still managed to get away with the kids. And when I turned up to buy it, there was my other one sitting there, and I thought, well, I might as well have that as well.
Yeah.
It was only purely because I was getting it in the ear from the wife about this not being on the road.
Right, okay. But when you came back with two things, didn't you get it in the ear again?
I did, but at least we've got something to go away in.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So for those that don't know, an Ariba Puck is a French-made small caravan.
Yeah, it's roughly 700 kilos,
Right.
750 kilos in weight.
So it's quite light. So
It
what
is.
vehicles could pull that?
You can have a VW Beetle pull it.
Right.
I believe you can also have a Mini pull it as well.
Wow. Now, back in the 1960s and 50s, lots of companies came out that were involved in converting these into camper vans. You've got the Westfalia, which you've got in your other vehicle, and the Dormobiles and things like that. So what's the difference in the two roof linings, how they work, how they push out? What's that all about?
This particular roof is a side-to-side elevation.
Right.
And you'll see that the canvas, well, I don't just about see the canvas there, but obviously that then goes up and makes a nice arch.
Yeah.
Whereas on the Westfalia, it's you get two different types of Westfalia. You get a back to front elevation, and you can also get a front to back elevation. The one I've got over there is a back to front elevation, meaning that the rear of the canopy or the roof is the bit that raises, and the hinged area is at the very front of the vehicle.
Right.
So, but on this one, though, the hinge is down the driver's side.
Yeah.
And it opens from side to side.
It gives you a bit more room then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives a lot more.
Yeah, it's quite nice to stand up in. So this is a 1972 model. This was after the Splitty. They changed, didn't they, in 1968?
Yeah.
So your first one was the Bay model, and but there's a difference, isn't there? Tell us about the vents at the side and other little changes they made between these two.
Right. Well, this is what they call the low light crossover.
Yeah.
And where you've got the low light is derived from the indicators being low down on the front panel.
Right.
The crossover, you can determine it to be a crossover because when you look at the rear, the tail lights are the tall later model lights.
Yeah.
Also the air vents, rather than being present, which is what an early bay is,
yeah,
on the crossover or on this particular model, they're actually rectangular.
Yeah. And
I think also as well, if you check when we get out and have a look between the two, you'll see that the actual rear arches over the rear wheels on the early crossover, low light crossover, the rear arches are actually more flared.
Right.
I don't know why they did that, but that's one of the features as well.
So the other model you got, the 68, now that also is an import, isn't it?
Yes, it's a US import.
Yeah, and so that was one of the first models after the changeover.
Yeah, I believe it's a 68, so yeah, I believe it's actually the first model.
The first,
after the bay window,
which is interesting. So this vehicle at the moment we can't go out in.
No.
But we can go out in the imported one.
We can.
Should we go out in it?
Yep.
Let's give it a go.
Okay.
Okay, Kevin, we're inside the imported bus, all the way from America. Whereabouts it come from?
Texas, I believe.
Ah, okay. And the owner of it originally is an interesting story because what happened there?
He used it as his bedroom.
His bedroom. Okay. And he painted it a different colour.
Yes, he painted over what I consider to be quite a nice colour, safari beige.
Yeah.
And to reflect the sun, he painted it white.
Ah, okay, right. It didn't always work though, did it? Because the back seats here are a bit wrecked from the heat.
This is it, yeah.
A few holes in it. Now, you're actually selling this vehicle at the moment, aren't you? It's up for sale?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
And so if anybody's interested in purchasing this lovely camper van, get in touch because I can give you all the details, put in touch with Kevin. But it certainly runs very well, doesn't it?
It does. Like I say, I haven't driven it in the last couple of months. This is the first trip out it's had.
Yeah.
I'd say in probably more than 2 months.
Yeah. Considering that, it's pretty amazing, isn't it really?
Yeah. It's a little 1600 twin pull, single carb. That's all you really need in something like this.
Yeah.
It's more torque that you need rather than speed.
That's right, yeah, okay. And there are some imperfections on the bodywork, etc. But I mean, that's just a bit of rubbing down, we'll sort that out, isn't it?
Yeah. The structure of it is absolutely sound.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of them have been lowered.
Right.
But this hasn't been lowered. It's stock height. A lot of people lower them to get rid of that body roll.
Okay.
But what you'll find is there's a compromise. To get rid of the body roll, you'll get rid of what's called the magic carpet ride.
Okay.
Because this is, you can feel it's quite wallowy and that's what, you know, when they lower them, it just messes up the geometry of the ride.
Yeah. Is it to give you a nice trippy feel? 60 trippy.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? And what's your thoughts about classics and keeping them on the road for the future? What do you think? Have you thought about that and sort of the fuel situation?
I have actually. I mean, you're talking about the E10 situation, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about that because more ethanol is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And by all accounts, that eats into your fuel lines.
Well, it can do, yeah. There's been cases where it's eaten into fuel lines and pipes and all the rest of it. It certainly finds out any little problems you might have in your rusty bits and pieces that need replacing. So it can eat through it, and that's been the case for some people. But
a lot of classic car owners will probably agree agree with me here. I mean, it all depends, but it does come down to how often you use your car during the year.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, something like this is obviously a summer vehicle for camping.
Yeah.
So if the vehicle's left sitting in the garage or out in your driveway for any period of time, that fuel sitting in those lines just starts to eat
Give
away.
it a chance to rot.
And if you're going to give it a bit of an extra help by putting more ethanol in it with the E10 fuel,
Yeah. That can be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your thoughts on electric vehicles, electric classics? Thoughts about that?
no, I think it's like you've just seen with my 1972.
Yeah.
I know I've heavily restored. Would you say restored it?
Yeah.
I've replaced quite a lot of stuff, but there's some bits on it that I just can't get rid of because I think that's part of that vehicle and it should stay there. And I think by changing a classic car to an electric, you've taken away, you know, the purity of the vehicle. I suppose it sounds stupid saying purity, but you've taken it away. And
a lot of people feel like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones that we do, they are completely reversible. So you can put an engine back in if you want. We don't cut holes in it everywhere and willy-nilly. So they are well thought about, eco classics. And you know, but you say it's not for everybody. Have you ever actually been in a classic electric car?
No.
Because they're incredible where they go. Absolutely amazing. The speed that they do is quite unbelievable.
And this vehicle's built for roads like this, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, when you do get the one finished that you've got, where do you plan to go?
I've been Cornwall with it a couple of times.
Oh, already? Okay, right.
So I wouldn't mind going back to Cornwall.
Yeah.
But it is, like I just said, vehicles like this are built for these types of roads.
Yeah.
Not so much motorway roads, but motorway vehicles.
Yeah.
But certainly roads like this where you just potter along and take your time.
That's all from Down at the Barns this week, and if you are interested in the 1968 Westfalia, please get in touch. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Down at the Barns.